Hey guys, it's JP, and today we are going to take a look at Sifan Hassan during the race where she broke the 1 hour world record. This makes her the holder of 3 world records, which the others are in the mile, as well as the 5K. She had a solid performance as she ran 18,930 meters in 1 hour, which comes out to a 5:06 min per mile pace. Though she has ran a better time as she was able to run the half marathon, which is a slightly longer distance, at a 4:59 min per mile pace in 2018. Regardless, this is still a pretty amazing accomplishment, especially since she has not been racing until about 1 month prior to this one. Anyway, this clip takes place during the 45-minute mark, where it was a race between her and Bridget Koske, who is the marathon world record holder. At this moment, she looks pretty comfortable here, and it's before her final kick at the end. This will be interesting to watch, as this may better reflect her form seen throughout most of the race. So now, let's get into this quick analysis. Here, she is running at a step rate or cadence of around 200 steps per minute. This is actually pretty fast, especially for a distance race like this. I initially thought she may be speeding up here, but actually she seems to maintain this kind of step rate even around the 15-minute mark as well. Typically, for a long distance race like this, you will see the step rate to be around 180 steps per minute, but that's not the case for her. This typically indicates a bit of a higher relative intensity and pace, but she was able to maintain it for a whole hour. Regardless, while this seems a bit unique, this is something that works for her. Now taking a look at the foot landing, she presents with more of a mid-foot strike. This kind of landing pattern tends to distribute forces a bit more evenly in the calf and knee compared to the rear foot or forefoot landing. Now, let's take a look at the foot position relative to the body. Again, it's hard to get the exact moment of landing due to limitations in frame rate, but she seems to land with a shank angle of pretty much 0, which is perpendicular to the ground. This kind of foot positioning seems to be a characteristic seen in elite long distance runners. Moving on to vertical bounce, she presents with a minimal amount of it. This mostly has to do with her higher step rate, as I mentioned earlier, as the higher the step rate, typically the less vertical oscillation seen. But it could be somewhat attributed to her efficiency to direct force more forward rather than upward. Next, we'll move on to the trunk. Here she presents with a pretty solid upright trunk with a slight forward lean of the whole body. Typically, women present with increased lower back arching or anterior pelvic tilt, but that is not as much of the case here. Having a more balanced pelvic position may help optimize force develop through the legs as she pushes off the ground. Next, we'll move on to the arm swing. Here you can see she presents with quite a bit of shoulder movement. This typically indicates a higher relative intensity pace, but this could also be attributed to high arm carriage as seen here. Regardless, I don't get too picky with arm swing for long distance runners as long as it fulfills the role to counteract rotational forces coming from the legs to optimize force directed forward. Finally, we will look at the head. Here she is looking comfortably straight ahead with a relatively neutral head position, which is fine. And that's all for this quick breakdown. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.